Hey, Pretty Girl Club. Welcome back to the social climbing series. And today we're going to talk about how queens cannot hang out with peasants. So, when I talk about queens and peasants, I'm talking about the mindset, okay? So, yes, there is a such thing as a peasant mindset or a poverty mindset or a dusty mindset. And some of the Pretty Girl Club was talking about this in the Discord today. By the way, be sure to join my Patreon if you want to get access to the Discord. We've got lots of other content creators in there and pretty girls. And the Discord is what is directly influencing my content. So if you have a lot of video requests or like you just like talking shit, definitely join that because we spill all the tea in there. There's lots of gossip in there and fun stuff, fun girly stuff. So one of the things that I've been thinking about recently was how I actually had to let go of one of my friend groups. So I'm the type of person who does have a lot of friends, like in real life. But I have noticed though that some friends vibe well with me, whereas other friends, like the friendship kind of dies off. So with this one group of friends, they happen to all be unambiguous. And I was thinking about it. I was like, why am I not friends with them anymore? Like, why did I refuse to go to the hookah lounge with them when they asked me to go? Number one, I don't drink or smoke, so that's part of it. But I started thinking deeper into it, and I was like, okay, first of all, the hobbies don't match. So if you have queen energy, if you have level up energy, your hobbies are going to be different than women who have kind of this dusty mindset. And I thought about it. I was like, every time I ask these girls to go on a hike with me, every time I say I want to do something that has to do with working out, none of them want to do it. And they all happen to be overweight. They're all unambiguous. They all happen to be overweight. And they will tell me every time they see me, they'll be like, oh my God, you always look so good. Like, I need to go on a walk with you. And then I will text them and be like, hey, do you want to go on a walk? Suddenly it's, I'm tired. I don't have time. Or I stayed up late. I'm hungover. I can't go. So I eventually was like, okay, I can't hang out with these women anymore because their hobbies and their actual lifestyle does not even match up with mine. Number two, reason that I stopped hanging out with them, they are all in survival mode. They spend their free time doing a lot of recreational drugs, like smoking a lot. I do consider weed smoking to technically be a drug. I know that people do it for medical reasons, but these friends, they're not doing it for medical reasons, okay? They are very able bodied. There's nothing wrong with them. They don't need this substance to survive. So, this really taught me a lesson about how when you are living a soft life, you're not going to vibe well with women who are in survival mode. And you can always tell if a woman is just trying to survive based on what she does in her free time. When they were not working, they would be arguing with their boyfriends. Like one of them, she has a cheating, dusty boyfriend. So he's constantly cheating on her. Same thing with another girl, actually. The other one is actually married and she has a cheating husband. I was there one time when she was trying to FaceTime him. It was like past midnight. He didn't come home. There was just so much drama. Literally, every time I'm around these girls, they're always having drama with their significant others. So that's another thing that happens in the life of a woman who has kind of this dusty peasant mindset. She's always in some sort of drama. It could be relationship drama, it could be extreme family drama. And if you hang out with those types of women, you're going to eventually get caught up in that drama because next thing you know, now she doesn't want to bring her fiance around because he might be looking at you. Meanwhile, you're just minding your own business. You would never even look at him twice because he's dusty. But now your friendship is being torn apart because she is insecure and male centered. One of the things that you'll learn on your social climbing journey is that everybody can't go with you. Everybody cannot make it into being social royalty. And when I say social royalty, what I really mean is that you are reaching your own personal goals for your social life. So think about the type of social life you want. I know that for me, I like to have a life that is filled with fun, classy events. I don't want to sit around and just smoke all day. I don't want to do that. I don't even smoke at all. So it's like, I don't want to sit around and inhale your secondhand cigarette smoke or your secondhand weed smoke. I don't want to sit around and then your kids are just running around and stuff. Like they're throwing things, or maybe you have an animal, like you have a dog that's like unruly. You didn't train the dog, so it's peeing everywhere. It's humping everything. It has fleas and ticks and stuff. I don't want to hang out in that type of environment. So women that have kind of this peasant mindset. They're constantly in survival mode, and there's nothing soft about their life. Their lives are hard. They're living in a constant state of trauma. They literally have PTSD. I don't have social PTSD. I love socializing. I love going out. I love meeting new people. So I don't have a fear of colorism. I don't have a fear of texturism. I don't have the fear of featureism. I don't have the fear of fat phobia. Oh, yeah. By the way, when it came to this group of friends, we actually went to this lounge before. It was a hookah lounge, of course. Like I said, I don't even smoke hookah. I don't do anything with hookah, but I went because I was like, you know what? It's my friend's birthday, so that's fine. Let's go. So we went to this lounge. This woman, she literally could not get into the freaking hookah lounge because of her outfit. She was overweight. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but she was overweight and she was wearing like a see-through bodysuit. It looked like a one-piece swimsuit. So it was like a see-through bodysuit that looked like panties, and I didn't even notice it because she was wearing a coat and we were like sitting down. So when we were inside of the Uber, I wasn't paying attention, but she decided to take off her coat and she was basically wearing panties and like her stomach and everything was hanging out. You could see her nipples, you could see her stomach. She had rolls and shit. And then she didn't do her makeup or anything. Her hair was, so she had locks, but the locks were not like Chloe and Hallie's locks. They didn't look like that. They were more like, I don't know, they just looked different. They were more stiff looking or kind of like it didn't look like she styled them. I'll just say that. So we were about to go into this hookah bar, and apparently the hookah bar has a dress code, but I always dress cute. Like when I'm going out, I like to look cute. So I was wearing a cute dress. All the other girls were dressed pretty cute. But of course, one of the girls decides to wear a see-through bodysuit. And the guy at the front, he was an unambiguous dark-skinned black man. He was like a gay guy. He was like, you can't go in with that. Talking to my friend who was overweight with a see-through bodysuit. And then what do you think happened? Of course, they wanted to blame it on colorism, texturism, featureism, anti-blackness. They started getting mad at the guy at the door. And I was like, oh my God. See, this is the type of stuff. This is the type of drama that I don't want to deal with. I take care of my body. I like to take care of how I look and like how I'm perceived, because the way that you are perceived by others, that actually helps you to understand what your social climbing strategy is going to be. So I'm just going to assume that this girl wanted to be perceived as sexy. Okay, that's fine. If you want to be perceived as sexy, that's not a problem, but there's a certain way to go about it. Wearing a see-through bodysuit with panties when you're 250 pounds and 5'1", that is not going to help you to social climb. She would have gotten into the venue if she would have kept on her coat. But because she decided to be ratchet, now we are getting held up at the door, and I was actually embarrassed because I was like, oh my God, this has never happened to me. Like, I have never been in a group of girls where somebody in the group can't get in to the bar. Like, I've never had that happen ever in my life. Usually me and the rest of my friends, we all can get in. So of course, all of us other girls got in, and then because she couldn't get in, because she decided to like be ratchet basically. So then we went to this other bar, and by the way, this was a long time ago. This was like years ago. But we went to this other bar, and she got into that one. She didn't show her little bodysuit thing, and she got so drunk when we were there. She got like blackout drunk basically. So she could not even sit up. She could barely stand. She was extremely sloppy. And then the rest of the girls in the group, they didn't even want to dance. They were just kind of standing around. You know how they have like sections? So she got a section, and I was thinking to myself, this is a major waste of time and money because I'm literally just sitting here in this little section thing. I'm not even walking around socializing. Well, I did actually end up walking around by myself, like after we got seated and stuff. But it's like, we're not even really walking around socializing. You guys are barely talking about anything. All you guys are doing is just getting sloppy drunk, just sitting around drinking and watching all the other pretty girls here having fun. And so I thought about it. I was like, I have never had fun with this group of girls. And it's because they have a different mindset. They have different hobbies. I've noticed that like with that group of girls, all the unambiguous big girls, they just happen to all be unambiguous and they happen to be big. I did not stop being friends with them because of their weight or because of their race. But I am mentioning that because I feel like they blamed things on their race when it really wasn't their race. It was their mindset. So another thing that happened with them was Besides their relationship drama and besides them drinking and smoking, it seemed like they were always trying to escape their life. So the drinking, I felt like them drinking a lot and all of them smoking a lot and wanting to get hookah and stuff and wanting to get crossfaded and all this. I felt like all of that was more of a coping mechanism. They were trying to escape from their daily lives, whereas I enjoy my life. I love my life. I love traveling. I love looking beautiful. I love going to classy venues. I like trying new hobbies and stuff. So they seem to rely on different substances and drinks and stuff and men as a way to escape from the mental hell that they were living in. And so the reason that I ended up cutting them off was because I realized I have never had fun with them. Whenever I went out, like if it was someone's birthday, if we went to a hookah place, if we went to a restaurant, if we went to a concert, I never had fun. Like I would come home and be like, I'm so glad I'm home. Or I would actually be out with them and I'd be thinking, oh my God, I want to go home. Like I want to go back to my apartment. I could be cleaning right now. I could be recording right now. I could be doing so many other things. So that was actually a valuable social climbing lesson. Everyone can't come to where you want to go socially. Every woman does not fit in classy settings because of their mindset. You know how a lot of women, they struggle with imposter syndrome or they feel like they don't belong? Yeah, that's because they don't belong. It's because their mindset prevents them from being able to have that fluid identity. I'm not even talking about race right now. I'm talking about socioeconomically. Have you ever been around a woman and you can tell that she's not used to being in classy spaces? Because when you go with her to somewhere classy, she'll start complaining or she'll be like, why is everybody looking at me? Why ain't nobody talking to me? Why ain't nobody serving me? Like she'll come in, she'll instantly start complaining and it's like, sis, this is not the setting to be a loud ass bitch. This is not the setting to be shouting from the top of your lungs about how bad the service is. I realized that I don't like hanging out with women who don't have the same types of privileges I have, the same types of social experiences that I've had, because let's be honest, different privileges lead to different social experiences. Okay, so if you have, let's say you have pretty privilege, you have thin privilege, you have proximity privilege in terms of like where you live, your geographical location is amazing, you live in a beautiful, nice neighborhood or something like that. You have different social experiences versus someone who has only been in monocultural spaces, or they've only lived in their teeny tiny small town or their small suburb. So I've noticed that like my style is very multicultural. I like being in spaces where there's everybody. It's not just all black people, all white people. No, I like being in a diverse space. Also, I don't care about being the darkest person in the room. Because I've actually had friends. I've had unambiguous friends who happen to be dark skinned, and they will actually comment on how they are the darkest person in the entire restaurant, or how they're the darkest person at the entire festival. They're the darkest person at the concert. And I'll be thinking to myself, okay, so now you just told me that basically I can't bring you then. Because if us going to a classical music concert, if that makes you feel insecure about your skin tone, all you're doing is putting a damper on my time. Like, I came here to enjoy European culture. I came here to enjoy the music. I came here to enjoy the show. I didn't come here so that I could receive validation for my skin tone. So I can't even hang out with women who have this mindset of, I can only be around people that look like me. Okay, well, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Go back to your monocultural spaces and don't get mad if I don't want to hang out with you anymore. Another thing about women who have this peasant mindset is they will try to make you feel inferior to non-black people, or they'll try to make you feel inferior to people who are wealthy, like wealthier than you or something. They'll be like, what you doing over there? Oh, you think you're rich. Like I had one friend, I told her that I was going to like this fancy perfume shop. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go down the street. I'm going to go buy some designer perfume from that new perfume store that opened. And she was like, oh, so you think you're rich. And I'm thinking to myself, bitch, I just want to get a nice perfume. I saved up my little $100 so that I could get a nice perfume. Like, what are you even talking about? First of all, thinking you're rich or having a rich mindset, that's not even a bad thing. So the fact that she was making fun of me for going to a fancy place to buy something as simple as a perfume, which is really not even that expensive. Expensive perfumes are what, like maybe a couple $100 at most? So that you don't even have to be rich to buy that. You just have to save up a couple $100. But that's exactly the mindset I'm talking about. It's that peasant mindset. It's the crabs in a bucket mentality. And so a lot of these women, they'll get mad when you don't want to hang out with them, and then they'll call you bougie and stuck up. But it's like, well, I guess I am bougie and stuck up. I'd rather be called stuck up than be called dusty or a peasant or a bum or being at the bottom. I'd rather be stuck up and have a superiority complex than an inferiority complex if I had to choose. Like, let's be serious here. If you had to choose between having a superiority complex and having an inferiority complex, which one would you rather have? I would rather think I'm better as opposed to thinking I'm worse. In terms of manifestation, for those of you who believe in manifestation and alchemy and transmutation or faith or whatever, I mean, let's be honest, I'd rather have the faith in myself that I am the shit. If I had to pick a flaw, I would much rather have a superiority complex than an inferiority complex. Because at least a person who thinks they're superior, they have a lot of audacity. Think about like Kanye West, think about Beyonce, think about Rihanna and people like that, Donald Trump. Think about all of those people, Steve Jobs. All of those people have been accused of having superiority complexes and thinking they're better. Tyla is another one. Ice Spice is another one. A lot of those people who actually become successful, they have been accused of thinking they're better. And technically, they do think they're better. That's why they're going after being a rapper and stuff. It's because they think they're better at rapping than the other rappers. And it's working out for them. So if I had to choose which flaw to have, I would choose a superiority complex every single time. Because at least I get to have a pedestal if I think I'm better. And I'm not saying that I do think I'm better, but I'm just saying if I had to choose a flaw, I would rather have that flaw than have an inferiority complex and think everyone's better than me. No. But queens cannot hang out in the presence of peasants. Because people who have a peasant mindset, they have a scarcity mindset. They have a poverty mindset. They have a crabs in a bucket mentality. And some of these people are members of your own family. These are the people where they don't want to move out of the hood. They don't want to move out of their home state. They don't want to move out of their hometown. They don't want to date different types of men. They would rather go through the same cycles over and over. Another thing that I've noticed about women who have a peasant mindset, they are constantly in the middle of intergenerational trauma. So if their mom was with a bad abusive guy, she's going to be with a bad abusive guy. If all of her friends are alcoholics and they smoke all day, she's going to be doing that. So a lot of these women, they're followers. A lot of these women have taken on the negative mindsets of their own ancestors. So like their moms, their grandmas, their aunties, their cousins. There are some people who will try to steal money from their own family members. There are people who will try to scam money. Like one of my family members, she actually has $1 million business. And some of our own cousins literally stole money from her. Or like they tried to scam her out of money, basically. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's a peasant, dusty-ass mindset. So you are so bad at managing money, and you're so desperate to the point where you're willing to steal from your own family member who tried to give you an opportunity to level up financially. Those are the types of people that I can't hang out with. The type of people who want to steal your money. The type of people who want to take you off your pedestal. They don't want to build up their own body. They would rather just put you down for your body. They'd rather body shame you or shame your beauty. They'd rather beauty shame you instead of building up their own beauty. Queens cannot hang out with peasants. They can't. So let's say you're working a job right now and you've got basic betties at your job who are like being a bitch to you. Well, you don't have time to think about that. You're too pretty for that. You need to think about the wine tasting class you're going to this weekend. You need to think about the bonfire that you're going to this weekend. You need to think about what you're going to be wearing to the event that you're going to. So that's why I like to always have social events planned for myself, and I will go by myself. I'm not afraid of being alone. See, having a fear of being alone will prevent you from social climbing. That's a peasant mindset. Oh, I'm scared of being seen out by myself, so I'm not going to go to the cooking class. I'm not going to go to yoga. Okay, so then don't get mad when your whole life revolves around work. Don't get mad when you look up in 15 or 20 years and the only thing you've ever done is sit in a cubicle and go home. Go to the cubicle, go home, cubicle, home, repeat. I'm not living my life like that. I'm living a soft life. The soft life for me does not revolve around cubicles and offices. My life revolves around my hobbies. My life revolves around doing different things so that I can level up. I just tried a new pastry shop a couple of weeks ago, and now I have a new favorite European pastry. It's called marzipan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but that is my shit. So now I'm going to try to find another pastry shop. Me going out by myself and not being afraid to try new things on my own, that has helped me to social climb. So now if I talk with someone who is familiar with those types of pastries, now I have another conversation starter. Did you know that being knowledgeable about coffee and stuff like that, it has actually opened so many doors for me, like for friendships. It's opened doors for me in terms of dating. So let's say you are into dating like intellectual guys or something. Maybe you like to hang out around smart people. Well, you're going to have a hard time if you yourself are not smart. If you don't read books, how do you expect to connect with people who do read books? If you didn't go to college or if you're not educating yourself in any way, how can you expect to fit in with educated people? And you don't necessarily have to go to university, but you should be educating yourself if you want to be a part of an educational culture. So the way you live your life, there is a culture of your life. What is the culture that you come from? What are the cultural spaces that you like hanging out in? And this is a part of why I had to let go of my overweight, unambiguous friends. It wasn't just because of the weight and the unambiguous part, it was the mindset attached to it. So it would have been different if they would have had a level up mindset, but no, it was literally their mindset and the fact that whenever I went out with them, it was not fun. Because I don't want to just go and get cross-faded every weekend. That doesn't even vibe well with me. Like, no, I want to talk about books. I want to talk about what we're going to do in terms of our businesses. I want to hear your life update about what you've been building in your life. I want to talk about travel. I like having friends who travel a lot. That's a lot of fun. Like, I want to talk about what our next girls trip is going to be. I want friends who are generous because I'm a generous friend. I will buy my friends coffee. I'll pay for the Uber sometimes. So I want friends who are also generous towards me. Like some of my friends, they've bought me my favorite coffee before. So that's the type of culture I want to hang out with. I want to hang out in a place where those women are royalty. I want to hang out with women who are social royalty. And when I say that, what I mean is they treat themselves like a queen. They treat themselves like a princess. They treat themselves like they belong. They love themselves. They love their own bodies. They love their hair. They love, they're doing all of these things to care for themselves. I love hanging out with friends who like going to the spa because we can have a spa day together. I've had friends where they will ask me like, hey, have you ever tried this spa? Like, do you want to have a girls hangout day where we all go get a massage and stuff? So I like friendships like that because that vibes well with the type of lifestyle that I want to live. I have way more to gain from hanging out with leveled up women versus leveled down women because, for example, one of my friends, she's the one who told me about all these different spa treatments. I had no idea that they had that many different treatments, and I talk about them over on my members page, so be sure to join that if you're interested. But if it weren't for one of my friends talking about how she does her skincare and her facials and all this different stuff, I would have had no idea how to search for that stuff and how to get coupons for it. I would have had no idea. But because I chose to hang out with women who treat themselves like royalty, it made it easier for me to access those spaces. So I want to do a little exercise with you really quick. I want you to think about the most leveled up version of yourself and the most leveled up friend group. What kind of friends do you want to have? What do you want them to look like? What kind of hobbies do you want them to have? So I know for me, I love having friends where they like going to the beach, where they like having little picnics or little sleepovers. I like having friends who are good at planning because they're going to be fun. I don't want boring ass friends. That was another thing about the other friend group that I had. It was boring when I was hanging out with them. It's like, I don't want to just sit here and watch you get drunk. That's not fun. I want to have fun conversations. I want to take a day trip to the amusement park. I want to go skating. I want to do going to one of those Christmas festivals. I want to go to the petting zoo. I want to go horseback riding. Those are the types of things that I want to do with my friends. So I want you to think of some friendship activities that you've always wanted to do because that will help point you to what your friendship type is. But have you ever had to cut off a group of friends? Have you ever had to distance yourself from basic betties? What do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.